I became a mom at a very young age, and I truly believe that this child, my Annabelle Kathleen, now 16 and a half, really saved my life. At that time, I just lived life for the next party or the next chance I had to just escape my mind for a while. Her dad and I never were really right for each other. We separated when she was really young, but she really made me want to do better and just be better. When she was a young toddler, I just wanted to find my future husband and settle down, build a life for her. In 2010, I graduated from nursing school. At that time, she was 4, and I had been dating somebody since she was 2, and I was just ready for the future. By the end of 2011, I was married and expecting my second daughter, my little Lucy. I started a new job in 2012, and I just stayed focused on my girls, my career. We had a little farmhouse on beautiful property with more land than we'd ever need or know what to do with, but we were happy. In 2014, I gave birth to my first baby boy, and my life was forever changed. Shortly after his birth, I realized something just wasn't right with him. This was my CJ, and to sum up his first year of life, it was just hospitalization after hospitalization, which led to a devastating diagnosis. It was around that time that I was led to a Bible verse that has just stuck with me ever since, and that's Luke chapter 1, verse 37, which says, "Faith doesn't make things easy, but it makes them possible." And I knew that no matter what we faced, we could overcome it by just maintaining a strong faith. At the age of 1.5, CJ was started on immunosuppressive medication, so we really got to know social distancing before it was a thing. And by the time the pandemic hit, we were pros. The early years of CJ's life were anything but normal. It was infection after infection. He would spend weeks, sometimes months in the hospital. He's been in hospitals all around the country for his very rare condition. It was believed at that time that CJ's illness only affects boys. When I found out I was having another boy, we began to develop a plan for me to deliver the baby in Seattle, Washington. If the baby was healthy, we would use his stem cells for CJ's bone marrow transplant. It was what he needed to fight his disease. And if the baby wasn't healthy, because he was a boy, he would be admitted to the same hospital where he would undergo the same treatment that CJ needed under the care of one of the best doctors in the country for this rare condition. Shortly into my second trimester, at a routine OB appointment, I found out that my unborn baby boy, Michael Jonathan, his heart had stopped. My world came crashing down. It was like a double loss because I felt like not only did I lose Michael, but I was going to be losing CJ also. I really felt that God gave me Michael to save CJ, and now that chance was gone. The day after Michael's funeral, CJ was admitted back to the hospital where we received more devastating news. CJ was no longer eligible for transplant because of his respiratory status, and there was also no safe matches found in the International Bone Marrow Donor Registry. At that time, he was months away from turning 2, and doctors had informed me that without a bone marrow transplant, his chance of survival greatly would decrease. My husband and I dealt with these challenges in our own different ways, and our relationship really began to crumble. We tried for nearly a year to save our marriage, but it just didn't work. And it broke my heart that my children would now, on top of all the pain they'd already been through, they would also have the pain of growing up in a broken home. With the help of several teams of specialists, many interventions were put into place to keep CJ as healthy as possible. But in 2017, CJ's condition took a drastic turn, and his health really started to deteriorate. In the midst of all the sadness and fear, I reconnected with an old friend who invited me to Cornerstone Church. We started communicating on the phone and meeting for church every Sunday, and by the end of the year, we'd grown in our faith together and had fallen in love. Tim supported me through every difficult procedure, hospitalization, sickness with CJ, everything that I was going through at that time. And then fast forward to 2018, a perfect match was found for my son. So at age 4, CJ underwent a life-saving bone marrow transplant. That time was really, really hard. We lived in the hospital over an hour away from home. So I was there with CJ, away from my girls, away from Timmy and his daughter, and all of our friends and family. We were alone a lot. I was so blessed to have friends that stepped up and took care of my girls. They made sure that their grades continued to be good. They took care of them, made sure they were happy, and felt loved in my absence. The time was really, really hard because CJ was so sick, and to just be there and see him suffering so much was very hard. The chemo had horrible effects on his body, and it felt like forever. While we were there, I attended Cornerstone Church online. And when CJ was feeling well, he'd sit next to me on the couch on his tablet, and I would have my headphones and he would have his headphones for service. And we would put a sign on his hospital door, and everybody knew that that was our Sunday morning. During the time that he was in the hospital, I started a daily devotional that I had purchased a book down in the gift shop. I really started growing in my relationship with God in the silence. Whenever he would be napping, I would just be reading. I became friends with another mom on the pediatric oncology unit, and so we would meet in the hallway or in the family room and drink coffee together. And for the first time in my life, I really started reading the Bible. This woman exemplified an unwavering faith despite her own son's illness, and she was really an angel to me. In early 2019, Tim proposed to me. It was at my daughter's dance recital that he also happened to be dancing at, and I thought he was absolutely crazy for choosing me in my chaos. And CJ's last transplant-related hospitalization ended just weeks after we got engaged, and we began to plan for our future together. Later in 2019, more change hit when I had to sell my house because I just couldn't keep up with everything after being off work for so long. It was just more devastation for my kids, but we continued to have a mix of good and bad in our lives. On April 25th, 2020, we had a beautiful outdoor pandemic wedding. We were married by the pastor who had stepped in to lift us up several times throughout our relationship. Pastor Brenda never stopped believing in us, and she's still one of our biggest cheerleaders. Through it all, I believed Jesus was so much a part of our relationship because it started as two friends just going to church together. We built on that, and the years following CJ's transplant, even though they continue to be difficult, we know he'll always have challenges. But we also know that without a doubt, although faith doesn't make things easy, it certainly makes them possible.